Hello and welcome to the Bearded Dragon Games web show, Passing Priority. I'm your host, Brad Bonin, joined by Kevin Jones and Jake Van Lunen. Gerard couldn't make it this week, but we'll see him next week. So, we're going to start off today by recapping Grand Prix Toronto, where one of our own, Alessandro Morty Pargachelski, was able to sneak out a top 8, along with our area's own Dan Ward, who was able to take down the Grand Prix. So, I know that all three of us were there.
Well, I'm not sure if I'm... No, I wasn't there.
You were there in spirit. You were trying to be there, and then your passport
I was
lost.
unable to be there. It was really, really frustrating. But anyway, I think that the last constructed Grand Prix in Eastern Canada was Montreal, which I won. So Dan and I used to work together and used to have a show at the same store. So neither of us are still employed by that business, and it's funny because now there's two Grand Prix champions from the same area, and it's just weird.
Okay.
But anyway, Dan is I don't know. He's just playing Boggles. That's what Dan does.
Yeah, he's
So
Boggles
we're super happy for him, but I don't know if he would have won that tournament with anything but Boggles. That's kind of how he is, though. He's really good with Boggles. And you covered a lot of it. How did you feel about it?
I covered a lot of it in the semifinals, or rather I guess it was the finals. He was in a situation where it was when he was playing for top 8. I'm sorry, rewind. When he was playing for top 8, he was in a game, game 3. It looked really, really bad for him against humans. He had to draw his Daybreak Coronet, and he had a 2-turn window to do it, but that only worked if he was able to keep the Rancor that was in his hand, and he had a white mana up, and his opponent freebooted, and he was getting onslaughted by humans, and he did not path in response to the freebooter. He instead showed his opponent the path in the Rancor, and correctly recognized that he had to get his opponent to make the mistake of taking the path, and the person did take the path. And the next turn, he was able to Rancor up the guy with Daybreak Coronet. That's why Dan made it to the top 8 of the GP. So I thought that was really cool. I think people who play Boggles get a bad rep of either the deck wins or loses. It doesn't have anything to do with what you do. But at least there, definitely had something to do with what he did. And
Dan is really good with Boggles. I refuse to play fun games against Boggles because I value my time more highly than that.
Yeah.
But he is really good with the deck, and I've watched him play it many times. So, yeah, huge congrats to Dan. That's awesome.
And Morty.
And Morty, too. I mean, I just consider Morty to be really good for his age. So,
he's just regular really good. He has a Grand Prix top 8.
Yeah, well, he's... yes.
Yeah.
But, especially for his age.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So, it's always harder when you're younger. Because, your other things are competing for your time, and you're less sure what you want to commit your time to. Yeah, he's got school and stuff like that, so
he's got school, but he spends a lot of time with Magic. He playtests with us all the time. He's always on the Skype calls and the group chats. He's very active. He devoted his time outside of his high school friends and his actual high school to Magic, and he got paid off for it.
I assumed his breakthrough would be in Standard.
Yeah.
But I guess after they banned Teamer, he didn't have something that he had a ton of reps with.
Our Modern choice for the weekend was good.
It was good. He was the only one who did well with it, though, right?
Lucas was 7-0, and then he hit some rough beats and found himself 7-4. But Morty lost to 8-rack by not choosing to be on the draw. He just, came off his Bison, and round 3 his opponent chose the draw, and he just thought his opponent was bad and confused. So he chose the play going there forward. Because he was like, why would you ever take the draw? And then the dude played a Shrieking Affliction, and Morty was like, he's definitely bad. So he just tried to take the play to smash him.
Yeah. That's really funny to me.
And then he made the same
play against. I think I draw. I think I want to be on the draw against everything when I'm playing 8-rack. Against everything.
Yeah.
No joke, every single deck.
Because it's one less card that you have to strip from them. So it's it's not as pronounced as Manaless Dredge, but you just take the draw from them because they want it.
What if you have Remand in your deck? Does that not matter to you?
No, because it's still just one less card.
I want to get my Remand up as soon as possible.
But that's another card you get to keep along with your Remand.
So let's not talk about 8-rack. Nobody really cares about 8-rack. It's super fringe modern deck. But I would like to say that Alessandro played really, really well every time I watched him play. I was super impressed. How old is that kid?
He's 15.
15?
Freshly 15.
That's insane.
He turned 15 in January.
He's younger than my dog.
Yeah.
That is insane. By like a significant margin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. Like, it would be weird for my dog to be dating him. It would be like, hey, dog.
You're a little
old. Did you, I guess he's had a really, he messed up against the Jeskai guy, right? In round 14 or something, right? Someone said they were like, oh, he, like, played 3 creatures and then bobbled, saw Verdict on top and was just like, oh, alright. And the guy just drew Verdict and killed all his stuff. He's supposed to just, like, bobble first and not play all 3 creatures or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. He was pretty defeated though, right? He drew like infinite lands in both of the post-board
games.
No,
I'm not knocking him.
I think the matchup was bad. But if you watch, he does board in his signature collective brutality for no reason.
I think Morty is great, and I'm super happy that he.
Yeah, Morty's amazing.
It's going to be sweet to see him at PT Dominaria.
Albuquerque, right?
No, you said that, and it was funny. It's Richmond. Albuquerque was the last one I went to. Excellent.
All right. Well, I'm not invited to any of them, so they don't tell me where they are.
Right, sorry. All right, down to business. But yeah. The real, you want to get us into what everyone's here for?
Sure. Shout out to Dan Ward and Al. Good job, guys.
Oh, good job, guys.
Well done.
All right, so where did Lantern go? Lantern won the Pro Tour, and then it was just gone.
I mean, there's so few people who actually play the deck. I think it's still a good deck. I think if you're good at playing the deck, it's still worth playing. Well, not anymore, because now you can play with Jace, so if you don't play with that card... Why? Like, what is even the point? Right?
Well, I mean,
of waking up the next day if you're going to play Modern and not play Jace the Mind Sculptor.
I thought you meant of talking about Lantern when we have like the Jace Unbanned just looming behind us waiting to be talked about.
Yeah. So Lantern, good deck. If you're really good at playing it, you need to know the whole format. You need to know how to mulligan with the deck.
I think a lot of people played Hate. I think people just were ready for it after the PT, and I think that changed it too. BBD said that he played against a lot of Hate and got crushed, and that they shouldn't ban it. And they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely should not ban it.
Yeah.
I thought they might abandon Snaring Bridge because that was just like...
I think...
the like reactionary incorrect thing to do, and that just happens sometimes.
I think there are some other bans for us to talk about instead. Mm-hmm. And by bans, I mean unbans.
Oh, so Ancient Stirrings got banned? Woohoo! Thank God.
Almost. Not quite, but if the Karn Menace continues, maybe. So they just gave us back our friends, Blood Red Elf and Jace the Mind Sculptor, circa World Wake and... Shards of
Alara Reborn, I think. Mm-hmm. Right?
So these have been... Jace never really welcomed to the table at Modern. Kind of set him aside for Legacy after he was removed from the standard table. And Bloodbraid was decided that her friend Deathrite Shaman and her were not welcome anymore. Mm-hmm. But now they're back.
Yeah, this is
insane.
Mean? This is ridiculous. Like, I think Bloodbraid Elf is a fine Magic card to have legal. I think it should have probably been legal a little bit longer than it should have probably been unbanned a while ago. I don't know exactly when. Maybe, like, you don't really want to... like, if you're making other changes, you don't want to introduce another change into what you expect the shift to become. I don't know. But, like, I think that it's definitely, like, allowed to be legal. It's not too good to be legal, and I think it should be legal. Like, the ban list should be small in that regard. As small as possible, right? So, like, Bloodbraid, I think, is still treasure. Like, I think it's a good card. But I think it is fine that it's legal.
Okay.
What about you, Jake?
I think Bloodbraid is absolutely fine. I think it should have been unbanned a long time ago. There are cards that are more powerful than Bloodbraid that were already legal in Modern, like just in the aggregate. It's like a 2-color card. Yeah. It's like really good in some decks. It plays a lot better than it looks on the surface also. Like if you've played like with it, it's like generally is pretty awesome. If you played against it, you know it's a lot better than it looks.
It's really frustrating to play against sometimes. Yeah. Especially if you're playing like a 1-for-1 deck where you're just like, oh, kill your first thing, counter something, and then they're just like, all right, put Bloodbraid into Tarmogoyf. All right, now you like all your, you know, your fight to get to, and like if you leave up Cryptic Command and that's what they have, it's just the most frustrating thing.
Yeah, they like Bloodbraid into Lingering Souls and like you lose.
You just hit like a Tarmogoyf or a Dark Confidant and like you have to Cryptic the better spell that they put into play, and then they just hit you for 3, and your mana's taxed again on the next turn. It's just like really frustrating and really hard to play against. But like, we don't need to tell everyone why Bloodbraid is good against mid-range blue decks, because it's like painfully obvious why it's good against mid-range blue decks.
I mean, that's where it shines.
Mm-hmm. And against other like Joan decks or whatever.
Yeah, I mean the thing is though is that I don't think the Bloodbraid side of things is really going to make everything too much the same. Because right now, like, there's going to be the push and pull of whether or not you want to be the Death Shadow version of a deck. Mm-hmm. And if you're the Death Shadow version of a deck, you don't want to be playing Bloodbraid, right?
You
because,
don't.
Like, you know, there are so many cards you can hit off of Bloodbraid if you're playing the Death Shadow version of a deck that are like really underwhelming. And
like Temur Battle Rage.
Yeah, like you don't want to and like a lot of those decks want to be playing things like Stubborn Denial, like
it's
like
true.
You can't play those cards with Bloodbraid Elf. So Bloodbraid Elf does work really good with like Liliana of the Veil, and when you flip up like Kolaghan's Commander or Liliana of the Veil, it's just going to be absolutely disgusting.
There's some really cutting edge content right there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's going to be Ancestral Visions.
We're maximizing the amount of free mana, you know?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sweet.
What about Scapeshift decks? Bloodbraiding in Scapeshift decks is super cool.
Don't you just always hit Explore?
Yeah, hit like Search for Tomorrow, Farseek, like whatever.
So Explore.
Yeah, some sort of Explore card or a Random Growth card. But I think that's sweet.
It could be in the sideboard. I don't know if that's like...
Years ago, there was an extended deck. It was like Jund Scapeshift, and it played like discard spells and Bloodbraid Elves. And then it played like Slaughter Games or whatever the card was at the time to beat like unfair decks. It was a really cool deck. And I don't think it was really good, but it was sweet. And people played it
that deck.
Like that one extended season that was like... Extended season was like mostly fairies and like the Thopter Depths deck. Like around that time, this deck was legal.
Yeah.
And some people played
Depths
it.
Was so much better than that.
Thopter Depths was so brokenly good.
That was like
absurd.
so much better than all the other decks in that format. I want a PTQ in that format.
With Thopter Depths?
No. With elves.
That's right. I watched. I think the guy playing the Jund Scapeshift deck lost a win in the PTQ that you won.
Oh yeah.
I think that's when I was watching it happen. It was in that same place in Connecticut.
I may play against that guy and just killed him on turn 2 and had no idea what his deck did.
Probably. He probably just played Valakut tapped and died.
A lot of my opponents did.
But yeah, so like, what do we think are the? Do you want to do the decks, or do you want to do this in a different order?
So we're gonna start with Treasure Treasure for these cards. So I think we kind of just covered Bloodbraid, right? You guys think that it's like a lukewarm treasure?
It's treasure. It's just it's a good Magic card, but it's like
a nice little treasure. Like when you find a quarter in your couch, it's a treasure.
Okay, but it's not like a 50 in your jacket pocket.
No, like sometimes I open up my freezer and I really like ice pops. And I usually keep careful track of how many ice pops I have left. And sometimes I'll open up my freezer and there's just like an extra ice pop that I didn't know I had. And I'm just like, it's just like Bloodbraid Elf!
Yeah,
and it's just exactly the same thing.
So then what's Jace? Like, you walk into your refrigerator, or you open up your refrigerator and there's another refrigerator in it?
I open up my refrigerator and like an avalanche of fresh Italian ices just hits me in the face and I fall to the ground like weeping.
Yeah, I was
That's
just
exactly
say, just cash, just like $100 bills just start like shooting out of my refrigerator at me. Just like beat me up against the
Jace.
wall.
Like, Jace is...
So, like, extra treasure.
The fact that we actually have to sit here and go, is Jace trash or treasure, is the most ludicrous thing I've ever done, like, as far as content at the store.
It is so much better than any card that is currently legal in Modern. It costs 4. I understand that. I get that's like a limiting property. But I think the most common argument I've heard about why it's not going to be that good in Modern is because you can thought seize it out of somebody's hand.
No, the most common argument I've heard...
people say that.
Is like...
Have they ever played against a different card in Modern?
Every card you get thought seize out of your hand.
The most common argument I've heard is like, you're gonna die on turn 4. This is Modern, LOL. How do you cast a Jace?
Yeah,
because obviously you're not playing counter magic before that or removal spells. Like it's not like we have like a 1 mana completely ubiquitous
Swords to
catch-all Swords to Plowshares that doesn't make our opponent gain life. It's not like we have that, which we do.
No, that would never work.
And Lightning Bolt, Fatal Push. There's like 4 1 mana removal, 3 1 mana removal spells. They're all really good.
Yeah, like this card is.
It's okay though. There's no counterspell in Modern, so Jace can't be busted, right?
There's like a few good ones, right?
No, but you can't play with literal counterspell, so Jace can't possibly be good.
You can put Temporal Masteries back on the top of your deck.
Yeah. Terminus.
Jace is so absurdly
I'm not even worried about Terminus.
I don't even think Terminus is where you want to be.
Yeah, I think Temporal Mastery
I think
is
the cards the cards that gain a whole lot from Jace are Blood Moon, Vendilion Click.
We have this is our treasure segment, and then we have decks for these cards.
Yeah, sure.
So we can get into that. So Jace, obvious treasure, Bloodbraid, a nice pop.
Wait, if Gerard was here, do you think he would have been like, guys, I think Jace is trash, and I think that everyone is stupid.
If you lose to Jace, you should feel bad.
If he had said something, that would have been hilarious if he did. But I highly doubt he would be anti-Jace.
No, especially since he plays Jace decks almost exclusively without Jace.
Gerard is a Jace mage. He plays a lot of Jace.
Like, he plays Blue X constantly. I'm sure he loves Jace.
He played Blue-White Control here at a tournament last weekend, and now he can play Blue-White Control with Jace in it. But give us some decks to riff on.
So, speaking of Blue-White Control, that's actually second on our list. So let's talk about Blue-White-Red, or Jeskai Control. So this features two of the one-mana removal spells you talked about, Path Exile and Lightning Bolt, if they would like.
Yeah, so I didn't put this deck in... I didn't put the decks in, like, order of power or anything. I just picked, like, a couple decks that I thought would get better as a result of the unbanning. And this is the first one that came to mind because this is my deck. This is what I play. It's not my deck and I didn't build it. I mean, credit to Ben Nicholich for building the version that top 8 at the GP this past weekend. Luke Purcell was the guy's name. He's one of Ben's friends.
Actually, Alessandro's round 14 loss.
Yep, shout out to him. He's great. And then Jonathan Rossum lost his win in with the same deck. Yeah. So that deck, everyone's familiar with it. One, Secure the Waste, Torrential Gearhulk, Search for Azcanta. That deck, I think, is the first place where you incorporate Jace. Like, one of the most obvious ones. And I think that you can cut some of the weird win conditions that are in your deck because you don't need them anymore. And, like, I would probably cut the Nahiri, even though, like, I could see the Nahiri coming back in at some point because, again, down the road, other things are going to get good again, which will make, like, it be more necessary to have that, like, breadth of interaction. But I think the Jace is a strict upgrade to Nahiri, obviously. So I think you probably cut the Nahiri and, like, probably the Torrential Gearhulk and then, like, one other random thing and start with 3 Jaces there and you can, like, search for Azcanta to find them and you have Supreme Verdicts and a whole bunch of spot removal and counter spells to keep the board clear when you play them. You can, like, you know, Brainstorm, Cryptic 13, Brainstorm again, and, like, you're just going to find everything you need eventually. Like, it's just insane. It's a great deck for Jace. And, like, it's also great for a deck like Jeskai that's so good at, like, staying alive, like, on a 1-for-1 basis and then eventually taking over with, like, 2-for-1s over the course of a few turns. So, like, they'll just, like, kill something, fall behind a little bit, kill something, counter something, fall behind a little bit. Eventually, Snapcast or something, get it, like, a 2-for-1 out of that, and then the deck will just, like, eventually opponent will, like, stop deploying threats, and they'll untap and, like, all right, now I'm going to go up a card with a Cryptic. I'm going to go up a card with this, and, like, eventually bury you in, like, the slowest, most, like, plotting way.
Yeah, and, I mean, to be fair, Jace, I think, works best with inexpensive interactive spells.
Yes, I agree.
Right, and that's so I think that's, like, really where you want to be, and, like, obviously, like, Lightning Bolt and Path Exile, like, fit the bill. I think that, you know, like, cheap counter magic.
Yeah.
But we're probably going to see more mana leaks than we saw before in Modern, I imagine.
Yeah, and people think that, like... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
but
it's
people
fine.
think that, like, you tapping out for Jace is, like, bad when you also have Cryptic Man in your deck and it creates, like, this tension and stuff. But, like, the thing is that, like, you just tap out for Jace and, like, their world is ending if they don't deal with it. So, like, they have to just, like, expend all their resources and, like, spin their wheels and, like, try so hard to get the thing off the table.
Yeah, if you untap with a Jace...
And if they don't get it off the table, they're just dead!
Yeah, like,
it's so unbelievably dead. It's insane that people don't understand this.
Yeah, I don't think people get what it's like when your opponent untaps with a Jace. Because it is impossible to win the game.
They draw for the turn, they look at the board, they look at the Jace, they go, Brainstorm. And they just do that 5 turns until you're... I'm, like, checking myself to not curse because, like, it's just the range of emotions is just so profoundly absurd when someone is just brainstorming every turn for, like, 6 turns. Like, what?
It's even more frustrating when you just watch them look at the top card of your deck, leave it there, and then you draw it, and it's like a Dreadboard, and you're like, wait, so you just let me have this? I'm so dead.
Well, the thing is that they start doing that once they have 7 cards in their hand and you have no cards in your hand.
They brainstormed 3 times, made a land drop, killed everything you can play, and they're like, should I brainstorm again? I don't want to discard. I'll just fake seal you.
Yeah.
And, like...
It's an aptly named mechanic.
The fact that Jeskai has a card where they can force their opponent to, like, have to deal with something is so insane.
Yeah, I mean, they can play, like, the hard control game now, and their best card advantage now is also their win condition.
Yeah. They always
like, they don't even need to play win condition.
This version of the deck, like, I don't think that the Jace deck should play, like, Geist and Spellquellers at all.
Oh,
no,
definitely
not.
It should just... It doesn't want, like, any, like, weird variables going on. It doesn't want, like, a high range of things happening. It wants to just incinerate things, blow things up, and just play Jace. and just brainstorm and bury your opponent.
Yeah,
like,
that's just how it wants to be casting like Blessed Alliance and garbage like that.
Yeah,
like that's what
I could see you play that. Yeah, like
yeah.
I think like Logic Knot gets a lot better. Mana Leak will be seen. People will like
Spell Snare.
Snare will be seen
Spell
too.
Snare is real good.
I think Vendilion Click's a big winner, and if the other Jaces show up too, there could be like, and they will obviously show up too, but like if you're now combating your opponent's Jaces, Jeskai might move to playing like 1 or 2 main deck Clicks, because it'll help you like combat your opponent's Jaces and like give you information to play your own, like the old blue-white deck in Legacy or whatever, which I'm sure you've played with.
Worth noting, when you're playing the Jeskai Mirror in New Modern, I think that not just for the Mirror, but I think against all other Jace decks, Jeskai might want to be playing Mantis Rider in the sideboard.
That's super sweet, and I am never going to tell you that that's incorrect. You might be able to find someone else who would like do the show with you who would be like, oh, I don't think Mantis Rider is that good, but I'm an Echo Chamber. I am never going to tell you that Mantis Rider is not good.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
It's just deep within my soul.
Yeah, it does exactly what you need to. Mantis Rider will be the glue that prevents Jace from destroying Modern.
You know what's like the best? What's the best possible time to cast
a Vendilion Click? When they Lightning Bolt your Jace, you're up a card.
Yeah,
like they're up 3 mana, but you're up a card. Like it's not like it's that people are like, oh well, I have the perfect answer for the card, and now I'm down a card. That's your best case scenario against Jace.
The best time for like casting a Vendilion Click, like it used to be like when your opponent had cast their last ritual and their last card was Passing Flames, and you're just like, all right, in response to your ritual, like take your Passing Flames. They're like, all right, 8 mana float and go. Like, but now when they play Jace and they tank into your open mana and they go Brainstorm, and you're just like, all right, in response, click you or whatever, or let your Brainstorm resolve if they're tapped out, and then click you, and just it's like the best time to cast Vendilion Click because it just kills their Jace and you can just play your own. You just like attack your Jace, play my Jace.
Yep.
Game is just over. Like it's just. So the thing about it is like, people were saying all these things online. They're like, oh, you're not gonna have time to cast it. You're gonna die on turn 4. This is Modern. They're just gonna Karn your Jace. LOL. All these things. Like, do you realize like how good of an outcome it is if they Karn your Jace? You're just like brainstorming. They're like, all right, untap, kill your thing. You're like, all right, bolt your Karn, have 4 mana up, go. You're just dead. Your opponent is dead.
You just won the game.
Yeah.
They could Karn your Jace and allow you to win the game.
It's just ridiculous. So a deck with all this cheap interaction like Jeskai is a great spot for Jace, but I don't even think it's the best Jace deck, evidenced by the fact that there's 4 more that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So, up next we have the only deck that currently plays a different Jace in blue-white control with Jace Architect of Thought.
Yeah. So we're going to... The first thing that people are going to do is they're going to replace, like, all the weird, bad Planeswalkers that are in the Jace deck with Jaces.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I think the one that they keep, because the one that I think is really good with Jace is Gideon of the Trials.
I think Gideon of the Trials with Jace is insane. Because one of the biggest tensions you have going on when you're playing against that blue-white deck is that they play the Gideon of the Trials and kind of like dare you to overcommit into their board.
Yeah, they're like baiting you to walk into Supreme Verdict. So you have to do this like little parry dance thing where you want to kill the Gideon, but then like what you do is you don't overcommit, so you can just barely kill the Gideon on board, so you don't get destroyed by Verdict. Yeah. And then they just like play a spot removal spell plus the Gideon again, and like make a land drop, and you're just spinning, and then they like Verdict with a counter magic up later on, and you're still just as cooked as you would have been if you had done it in the first place.
Exactly.
It's just like,
but now the thing is now if you play the slow dance, if you do it the perfect way to play around their stuff, the problem is that now they have Jace, which punishes you in the worst possible way for doing that. Like if they do what they need to do to prevent the trials like interaction from being at its very worst for you, you now have Jace, which punishes them worse than like any other card in the history of Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, they just like have a Tarmogoyf.
I'm not even kidding. There's no other card in Magic the Gathering
that can punish you more
in
than
that spot.
Like you can polymorph into Emrakul, but like we're not.
Well, really I'm talking about like this combo. So like singular card you can play that like.
Yeah, so they just like have a Tarmogoyf, and you like Gideon on their Tarmogoyf, and they're just like, oh, what am I gonna do? All right, I'll abrupt decay your Gideon go, and they're just like, Jace, bounce your Tarmogoyf, and you're just dead.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, can I deal that 2 damage? Do I have a Creeping Tar Pit in play? Probably not. I probably don't have a Creeping Tar Pit in play. I'm just dead. Like that's what happens. It's So cards that I think like one of the important things, and we're gonna get to this with some decks later on, to notice when like in this new Jace world is that you really need to try to use your Jaces to like pull your opponents in different directions. Because like, yeah, the plan A of like removal spells into Jace is great, but like the cards that are good against Jace are good against the rest of your control deck for the most part. Yeah, Verdict will make it like a weird tension of, oh, I can't go too far, I can't put the gas pedal down too far, or I get verdicted, and then all that's undone, and they just have a Jason play still, and they lose.
Yeah. Stirring Wildwood gets better. Raging Ravine gets better.
Yeah, Raging Ravine gets better. Creeping Tar Pit gets a lot better.
Creeping Tar Pit gets a lot better.
So what about...
Shambling Vent gets a lot worse.
It's almost like those cards were in the same set as Jace for a reason.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, oh, wow, 8 years later, we're like, I wonder if they did this on purpose. It's never an accident. I took mythology in high school, and they showed me that like all the little things in like TV shows are there for a reason. Never an accident. Creeping Tar Pit in the same set as Jace, never an accident.
So what about Field of Ruin? Blue-Eye Control plays Field of Ruin.
That card's great.
Card's sweet. It lets you shuffle away too.
It lets you brainstorm.
Yeah.
If the best thing to beat a Jace is a Raging Ravine, and we're already playing Field of Ruin...
Oh, Jessica's playing
Field
of Ruin now too. Yeah, Jessica's playing like 2 Field of Ruins now.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that like you're gonna beat Jace with these plans. Like, if you're like a mid-range deck, if you're a fair deck, just play a Jace deck, man. Your fair
play
deck,
your own Jace.
Your fair deck is not going to be playing the same game as Jace the Mind Sculptor in Modern.
All right.
If you're doing something unfair and wacky, you can definitely still compete.
Here's a funny Jace the Mind Sculptor anecdote. This is very brief. I was playing against Ben Lundquist. You know who that is, right?
Yeah, of course.
Master. Years ago at an SCG Open, and I was playing a Jace deck. It was a red, blue, green deck with Lotus Cobra, Jace, Inferno Titan, Mana Leak.
Oh, I know exactly what deck you're
I was
talking
playing that deck and Lightning Bolt, and it was standard. And he was playing a Esper Callblade deck that also contained Jace. I had Inferno Titan in play and a Raging Ravine, bunch of lands. He was at 16. He just played a Jace, leaving him dead on board, stared me down for like 30 seconds, and just brainstormed with it. And I like untapped and killed him. But like while I was passing the turn, I was like counting to make sure I had lethal. And I just like kept counting over and over and over and over to make sure I had lethal. And he just looked right into my soul, and he knew that I knew I didn't have lethal. Because like I miscounted like the first 6 times. Okay. And he just like looked right at me and was like, brainstorm. And I was like, oh my god, I don't have lethal. And I counted again. I was like, oh, he's dead. And it was really funny. But Ben Lundquist is way smarter than me is the moral of that story. And like Jace is just the most terrifying Magic card that your opponent can ever possibly cast. Yeah, we both had Jaces really though, and it's just like, you know how you beat Jaces when it was in Standard? You had to like Inferno Titan it. Or you lost. Or you had like swords. There were all sorts of weird ways. Colonnade was legal.
Yeah, I mean there were Grand Prix where the top 8 featured like 8 times 4 Jaces.
It was Dallas in 2011. Jaces, yeah. It was 4 Rugram decks and 4 Coldblade decks. Dave Shields won.
Yeah.
There were 32 Jaces and 32 Preordains in that top 8.
One of these is still banned in Modern.
Yeah, one of them is still banned in Modern. I saw an interesting statistic. It was like Jace was banned in Standard in a format where the following cards were legal: Mental Misstep, Ponder, Preordain, Splinter Twin, and there's a couple more. There were
Stoneforge.
Stoneforge Mystic was also banned.
Yeah,
they banned Stoneforge.
Yeah,
when they banned.
But Ponder, Preordain, Splinter Twin, and Mental Misstep were all legal in that format. Oh, Greenstone Zenith was legal too.
Yeah,
and Jace was banned.
Well, it was far and away the most powerful of
so
all of those cards.
Like
all of those cards.
Yeah.
Like it is. If you guys have probably played Vintage Cube on the internet, for those of you who have not played with Jace before and Constructed, you probably know that it's better than the vast majority of Power. Like if you're opening up a Time Walk and a Jace the Mind Sculptor, it's correct to take Jace the Mind Sculptor.
I don't know about that.
It is.
Time Walk is gasoline.
It's Jace the Mind Sculptor. Jace the Mind Sculptor, it's like one of the 10 most powerful cards ever printed in Magic.
I think there's like a couple pieces of power. I think you take like a Sapphire, a Lotus, and Soul Ring over it.
I would never take a Sapphire over it. I would probably take a Soul Ring over it. I would probably take a Lotus over it. And I don't think I would take anything else over it. Maybe, Ancestral. Yeah. I don't even know if it's correct to take Ancestral over it. Like, that's how insane Jace is.
So
I'm not even kidding. Like, that is like a difficult thing in my head.
I wish there were dissenting opinions on this episode, but there are not.
Yeah, there are probably people in chat who are like, oh, he has no idea what he's talking about. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make fun of you or use stupid voice to describe you. So I don't know if you even exist. I don't know if you're
Jake, you're adorable. Right. You're so progressive.
Third on the Jace slate is blue-red combo decks.
Yeah, I want to know what you think about this, because you turned me onto these decks in the first place.
It's my turn to talk.
Okay.
Blue-red Kiki-Jiki, blue-red Through the Breach, maybe Jeskai even, or blue-red Madcap Experiment. So these are decks that have a combo and maybe have clunky pieces that they would love to brainstorm for the other half of, or brainstorm back to shuffle away. Do we think that matters, or do we think it's just like, it's a blue deck, Chase is busted?
So I saw someone talking on Twitter, I think it was Ryan Overturf, SCG commentator, and he said that he thought that the best version of the blue-red combo-ish deck in Modern at the moment was the Kiki-Jiki deck that you had been playing and that I had been playing a few months back. And I didn't really think I kind of shelved that deck because I kept losing to Shadow, but Shadow was going away a little bit, so I think it's possible that that deck is good again. But anyway, he said that he thought that Blood Moon was a huge winner if Jace were to get unbanned. And this was on Friday before it actually happened. And I think that I agree, because I think Blood Moon, now you have a way that kills your opponent while also stopping them from getting outs, or getting out of their Blood Moon and like putting the one or two things in their deck that they can cast on the bottom of their deck, so they just continue to do nothing. Or alternatively, you can like brainstorm away excess Blood Moons.
Or you can brainstorm away first Blood Moons against decks who don't care
against decks that don't need Blood Moon, exactly. Yeah. And then like also it lets you brainstorm a bunch of times and like find your combo so you can actually kill your opponent when they're like stuck under the Blood Moon and function like minimally, you know?
Yeah.
Like maybe you can't actually protect your combo, like you don't have to play like a bunch of dispels or anything. But like when your opponent only has one land that actually does anything, Remand is good enough to force Kiki combo through or whatever. So like it just makes it a lot easier to actually kill your opponent, and it makes your deck like a lot more consistent. And
it's also really good at getting your opponent to tap out.
Yep, exactly, that too. Yeah. That's like most important with like the Breach deck, because they play like the full 4 Breaches.
And you only have to play the 5s.
But it's also like if you have an Exarch in play that like blocks for your Jace a little bit, you play your Jace, they like kill your Jace, you like untap Kiki-Jiki and kill you. Like you might even be able to play 3 Kiki-Jiki now because you can just get rid of the extra ones. But I still would probably just play 2 because you can find them so much more easily.
Yeah.
Like it's just an embarrassment of riches, if you will.
Yeah.
But
I think that these decks are probably going to want to play again like cheaper interactive cards now that they have access to Jace.
Yeah, I put like, Roast in like my first draft.
Yeah, I think Roast is a good example.
Engineered Explosives is defensible now, probably.
Yeah, I think you might want some number of Engineered Explosives in the main. You might want some number of like Ratchet Bombs or some like garbage like
Anger
that.
of the Gods.
Anger, things like that are fine. I just want like 1 mana things that interact like really well. Like I'm imagining decks that play like 2 or 3 spell snares and stuff. Like,
yeah, I had a couple spell snares in there. I had 4 remands. I thought that since it's like a combo deck, I was brewing this deck up the other day because it's just something that interests me.
Yeah.
I think because it's a combo deck, like I think you can remand something, Blood Moon them. They can't recast most of the time. Can't recast whatever they got remanded.
Yeah, I've actually been like unimpressed with remand recently in Modern, but maybe things will change. I guess especially with Jace being.
Well, you're like a control/combo deck that actually functions as a tempo deck because you like remand them, you play Blood Moon, now like you're controlling the pace at which they interact.
Yeah.
Because you
It's just so bad against Death Shadow decks.
Yeah.
And those are the decks like I lose to. I like beat all the other decks and then lose the Death Shadow decks and I'm
it's the best thing against
Remand
like
is like oh, it's really good against like the Tasigur and Gurmag Anglers of the world.
But you can't remand a Death Shadow or a discard spell, which is like the most frustrating part.
Yeah. But like it never is like relevant. Like how often do you get to remand a Tasigur or Gurmag Angler when you play that matchup?
I mean, they just orchestrate it so that you can't do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what
that's like all their deck is about is orchestrating it so that you can't do that.
Yeah, so it never happens. That's so.
Sometimes my opponent just like crack 3 fetches Tasigur, and I'm just like, I remand it. It's just
I mean that's sweet. That's the best. Life is good.
But that's very rare. Usually it's like discard spell, Tasigur. You can't do anything. Attack you 4 times, you're dead. It's like I don't know, but I just like, because then you play Jace, and you keep them off balance a little bit more, and they have to deal with your Jace, and like they're still like trying to struggle under this Blood Moon, and then like your Snapcaster is just back-breaking because it just stops whatever they did to try to undo all this work, and you still have, it's just so sweet. It's a tempo deck, but it does so in like a non-conventional way. You know, like it's keeping them off balance like turn after turn after turn, and it's doing so just to like trick them into like letting you untap with a bunch of mana.
Yeah. Oh, so I know we're talking about like how you need to be playing Jace and like all the different ways and how you need to be using it to pull your opponent in different directions. Something I'd like to point out is that Jace is a powerful enough card where you can like choose the exact wrong mode 100% of the time, and it's still probably worth it for it to be in your deck. Like the card is like I've seen people make the worst possible choice with Jace on like 4 turns in a row. And the Jace just completely buried their opponent. Their opponent could never win.
Like Bouncer walking ballista.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
you're still
like, it is so unreasonably good. Jeez.
This is going to be so cool. It's going to be so fun for like a couple months. Because we played a lot of Magic when this was a thing.
Yeah.
I'm
really excited about it.
The first time I ever won a PDQ, my deck was like a Grixis pile in Standard. And it played 4 Jace the Mind Sculptor and 4 Splinter Twin. And it was just like a random pile of cards. It played like Inquisition and Mana Leak and Ponder and all these good cards. But it was just like, yeah, I was a combo deck, but I was just hiding. I was a Jace deck hiding behind the combo deck.
Yeah.
Like I would just put all these things into play so that they would kill them, and then I just play Jace and win. Like it was just the premise. It's so insane. I don't know. You got another deck for me?
So I have a deck for you, but I don't know if Jake's going to agree with it. So here we have
Company on. Do you like the blue-red deck? With Jace? Do you like the idea? Because
I think Blood Moon is really good with Jace. I think against all of the decks that Blood Moon is
I think it's a good Vendilion Clique deck too, which is important.
Yeah, I think that's true also. I think that just in general, Jace works really nicely in combo decks as like not only as an alternate win condition, but as just something else that your opponent has to be, sculpting their game plan around. Like if they ever just like leave themselves in a situation where they're soft to it, it'll beat them. It
just comes down and it just cements your advantage so like immediately and quickly.
Yeah.
Sorry, we just kind of didn't really close that topic off, and I was a little bit conscious of it.
So
you're good.
Fourth on the list, we have Bant Company, a deck that already has a 4-drop engine piece.
Yeah. I don't know why I like this deck so much, but there's like 2 versions of it, and I think both of them are really good. There's like the Knight Tireless Tracker like voice version.
And there's the
the Knight version plays Retreat. That's the same deck. There's like the Spirits version, like Drogskull Captain and Geist and all that stuff, like the Caleb Durward deck.
Yeah.
So I think that
I lost to Caleb playing that deck once.
Mm-hmm. The way that these decks work is that they're gonna put a lot of stuff on the board, so that their Jaces and Noble Hierarch like making a third turn Jace is also insane. But the reason I like these decks in the context of the Jace format is because they can flood the board and pressure Jaces. Also, like, they can pull their opponents in vastly different directions by, like, committing some powerful threats to the board and then, like, following up their opponent's sweeper with a Jace.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just insane. And they also have, like, Selfless Spirit, so the Jace into Supreme Verdict plan, like, won't work out that well. Which is cool. So I think these are good Jace decks because they're able to, like, do a little bit of a different Jace thing. Like, when you sideboard against this deck, you're not going to be boarding in cards that are, like, for Jace because the rest of their deck does something so vastly different than Jace. You know what I mean?
So it's like a backdoor win con.
Exactly. It's a backdoor win con, but it's like 57 green creatures and 3 broken blue planeswalkers. Like, it's just hard to prepare for that, you know? Especially when they can, like... Collected Company, I think, is a really good answer to Jace in the context.
It is. Collected Company is one of the best cards against Jace.
Puts a ton of tension on the turn that they try to play their Jace.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they choose not to play their Jace, like, you can either Company, or if you're worried about a counterspell, you can not Company. But, like, when you do Company and it does resolve, they're in a spot where they, like, don't have a good Jace turn afterwards. Mm-hmm. So, like, insulates the lead up to the Jace turn, and then it also, like, pads, like, your gameplay afterwards.
Yeah, and it's also a really good thing to do the turn they Jace.
Yeah, you just, like, untap and be like, alright, I hope you don't have Verdict. Put these things in play or whatever.
Yeah.
And Voice is, like, good anyway, even if they do have Verdict sometimes, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's a sweet Jace deck. And I think it's one that almost nobody is going to, like, think about.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure. I like the Company decks with Jace. I do like the idea of, like, Noble Hierarch Lotus Cobra decks with Jace. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to spawn, like, a new sect of decks, if you will.
Yeah, like...
I think that, like, casting Jace before the fourth turn is...
Yeah.
pretty unfair.
Like a 3-color green deck with Jace or whatever.
Yeah, like a Teamer deck or like a Sultai deck. You know, I was actually thinking about like various like Sultai builds you could do with Jace. Like you could just play, discard spells, Tarmogoyfs, Jaces, Abrupt Decays.
Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, Noble Hierarch.
I could see like Gerard's Teamer Moon deck being
Cryptic.
ported slightly to be like a Jace, like a mid-range Jace deck.
Absolutely.
Almost like a next level blue deck, but with Noble Hierarchs.
Yeah, I think the tap out Jace decks are going to be quite good.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's really funny because really like anywhere that wants to cast something that costs 4 mana is going to want that thing to be Jace.
Like, I just want to play Jace in everything now.
I just want to play Jace in everything.
Like, my mono-white Death and Taxes deck, instead of curving into Restoration Angel, like, I just want to play Jace on turn 4. I want to go, like, turn 1 Champion of the Parish, turn 4 Jace. I don't even care that my deck doesn't do anything.
Just, like, put Jace Gates in there?
Jace.
So you get to your double blue?
So excited. I get to play with Jace,
so
man.
Unbelievable. Like, you don't really understand.
Yes.
Have you ever casted Jace in anything other than Legacy?
No. That's not true. I've cast it in Vintage and lost because I didn't know how to play Vintage. I turn 1 cracked Lotus for Jace, and my opponent just had a Volk tapped and Pyroblasted it.
Oh, I thought they were gonna like Notion Thief.
And I misstep and he misstepped back, and I had 2 cards in hand to his 5, and I died on turn 3.
Yeah, that's. But
that's the only Jace I've ever cast outside of Miracles. But I've cast upwards of 100 Jaces in Miracles, at least 100.
Yeah. So it's just completely different. Like, your opponents can't fight it at all.
I mean, I'm just super excited to watch people I'm just super excited to win Jace mirrors by having the person across from me play their second and last card in hand as their 11th land and just not have it to brainstorm back because they don't know how brainstorm works.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that first 2 or 3 weeks where the non-legacy players don't know how to Jace yet. And the first time that in a lightning bolt mirror your opponent Jaces and doesn't plus.
Well, the thing is, though, is that whoever untaps with a Jace just wins anyway, even though they play it wrong.
Not if you both have it,
I'm joking. Yeah. No, that's not quite... It's not that simple, but
Jace certainly if the other person's trying to cast Tarmogoyf and not Jace, and you have Jace in play, you're like, alright, yeah, go ahead, your Tarmogoyf resolved.
Well, the thing about Jace is that it exacerbates the points in which the rest of your cards in your deck that like have slight advantages, they just become terrifying. Right? So
you just draw 2 of them every turn.
Well, when you play against a Miracles in Legacy with a Delver deck or with with a check pile deck or something, then you just end up Terminus just ends up being backbreaking because of the Spectre of Jace looming. Yeah. But a 2-for-1 is not the end of the world. But if they just have Jace in play and then you have to flood the board to kill it, then they just 3-for-1 you and have Jace, you're just dead, immediately dead.
I played a match against a Food Chain player who's whole Food Chain strategy was working. He had the 3-drop and Mist Hollow Griffin and all this other stuff. And it's played a Jace on 4. And then 7 turns later, he was yeah, I knew going into sideboarding I couldn't ever beat a Jace. I didn't do anything with the Jace. Yeah. I just drew 2 cards every turn.
It's just ridiculous.
Revealed a 3 or a 4 to counterbalance once and killed 8 creatures.
Yeah. I mean Jace is just
so
the points in which
and my opponent had Leovolds and Force of he had cards in his deck that interacted on the Jace axis. He just didn't have Pyroblast, so Jace easily won the game.
If your deck is really weak,
even if they have it, you're up a card.
Yeah.
That's what keeps about people are oh, but there are these cards. It's even if they have it, you're up a card. That was the most frustrating part about Stoneforge Mystic. They'd play Stoneforge Mystic, you would need to have a card in your hand to kill it. And then once you had that card in your hand to kill it, they'd still just have this 5 out of 5 card quality.
They're just a control deck.
Yeah.
They're just a control deck that force you to tap mana on turn 3 or turn 2 to do something other than advance your board position. Which is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Stoneforge Mystic is broken, completely broken in half, and I'm really glad that they didn't unban that card
I mean, I think that anybody who's ever played against a Stoneforge that tutors up a Batterskull just the game is no longer about playing Magic. The game is is their turn better than a free 4/4 lifelink? It's
just they're oh, I have a Culligan's Command. When they put and you're just no, untap, play Jason. They're just alright. Just what? What, you think Culligan's Command beats that card? No.
No. Because even their Culligan's Command that got a 2-for-1 killed just Stoneforge. And the card they tutored for free.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's still a 1-for-1.
It's the perfect card.
And they've like expended so much. The most broken possible card to pair with Jace is Stoneforge Mystic. But
100%.
It's pretty good that we're not allowed to do that because that would be really
Splinter
good.
Twin also.
Splinter Twin is pretty good.
Oh, do you know what card's really, really, really good with Jace? I know we already talked about this card type, but we didn't talk about it in that context. We just talked about it as being included in a deck. Voice of Resurgence.
Oh, yeah.
How do they ever get past that?
Yeah, it's just a bunch of blocks.
Through the air. Yeah, it's just a bunch of blocks. And they can't do stuff on your turn. Or
so they can't, like, counter your Jace.
Yeah.
Yeah, Voice of Resurgence is...
So that card...
The band company deck
goes...
Yo, no, it doesn't have to play company.
But that card goes in the Noble Hierarch deck.
What?
Those are both in the Noble Hierarch deck.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And Story Wildwood.
Resurgence, people? Oh, man.
And, like, don't we want Spellquellers now?
Actually, this deck might want Spellquellers, yeah.
I'm telling you, band company is the truth.
Well, I don't think you want company, though. You just, like, cut the companies for Jaces.
No, you just... The only things you play, like, 3 Jaces, 4 paths, and 4 companies, and just creatures.
Oh, I was actually thinking about playing more...
like, interaction and stuff?
Yeah.
Like a fair deck with Voice of Resurgence in it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
I mean, isn't every Voice of Resurgence deck...
Yeah, but I don't consider... the Voice of Resurgence, like, company decks are, like, ultra fair. They're just, like... Honest.
Yeah. They're like
honest guy, honest creatures or whatever. Kid was said when he F6 and left. You know that story? He played against eggs and he's just like, I'm just an honest man with honest creatures. And then he just like wrote X6 on a piece of paper and went to the bathroom. Yeah. Nathan Holliday's just going off and top 8 of the GP or whatever, and there's just nobody there. It's hilarious.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us to the end of our Jace discussion. Now we're going to talk about everyone's favorite elf berserker. So it's Bloodbraid Elf. We're going to go through some decks that Bloodbraid will obviously go in, ranging down to maybe go in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, number 1 on our list, Jund, the deck that Bloodbraid found its home in, sort of permanently, in Standard, and then Extended, and then Modern, and then Nowhere.
Yep.
As it was invited to leave all of those. Yeah.
It was a good deck in Legacy.
For a while, it was a good deck.
Like, Punishing Fire interaction also helped.
Yeah.
Well, that deck was pretty good at casting Pyroblast. Like, that deck was actually good against Jace, even in Legacy.
Yeah.
And, like,
Bloodbraid Elf is good against Jace, actually.
Yeah.
That's one thing that, like, so before, we just went on and on and on about how Jace is this, like, unbelievably insane card. We're so excited about getting to play with it. And, like, we're going to sound a lot less excited when we talk about Bloodbraid Elf because it's a significantly less powerful card. It's a card we have a lot less memories with.
But it's so good against Jace.
But it's important to note that Bloodbraid Elf is really good against the card that we were just, like, gushing over.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like, the biggest selling point for Bloodbraid Elf is how good it is against Jace.
Like, you brainstorm, and you're up a card, and then they Bloodbraid and kill it, and you're not up a card anymore.
You're not up a card anymore. Yeah, and they got to put all the stuff in play.
The most broken thing that they could do is they would, like, Bloodbraid into Blightning, and, like...
Yeah, the Lightning would kill your Jace.
Kill your Jace
and, like, empty your head.
It's like, what? Like, I hope people don't do that anymore.
And the people who really like doing that would also have Sidraxis Spectre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a standard deck, right?
Yeah.
It was like 4-color Jund or whatever.
Sidraxis Spectre's like a Hypnotic Spectre, I'm assuming?
It's a Hypnotic Spectre.
That's a 3/2.
It's a 3/2 for Grixis. Black, red, blue.
Okay.
And it has Unearth.
Okay.
So you can, like, bring it back and hit them once.
Oh,
for 2 mana.
Yeah.
It was a cool card.
It was really good because when people were playing, like, Lightnings and stuff...
MM17.
Yeah, you could... you could discard it to their Blightnings and then just pay 2 mana and essentially Blightning them back because they spent the Blightning.
Yeah, or hit their Jace with it.
Yeah, or like kill Jaces with it when it was in your graveyard. So it was actually like a really good like niche card, but it's casting.
It was good in like the Bloodbraid Jund Mirror too. Yeah. Like because they just played like the other card that they played that like broke the mirror was like Goblin Ruin Blaster.
Yeah.
It was like the kicker destroy a land card.
Yeah. Spreading Seas was also really good against that deck
all
the time.
Okay. I played Baneslayer Angel and
Me too.
So
Kiss of the Amisha, which is the worst Princess Revelation ever.
Did not play
you played like the blue-white deck, right? In Extended? That was an extended deck, right?
Standard.
That blue-white deck that you lost to Lucas Seau? That was the standard deck?
I finals 2 PTQs with that deck.
Yeah, the Night of the White
I was
Orchid?
I think my record with that deck in PTQs was like 23 and like 2 or 3.
And the losses were in the finals both times.
2 out of 3 my losses were in the finals, yeah.
That
deck was unbeatable, except in the finals.
That deck was sweet. I think I played it once and I didn't know how to play it and I just gave up. But it was a sweet deck. It played like Archmage.
Glenalandra Archmage.
All right, so we're gonna circle back to
Sorry, we're just like, this is a weird show.
I let you guys go for a little bit.
Jace is just like illegal again, and it's just the Magic memories. Like Jake is contemplating like playing Magic again.
So speaking of Stone Rains, the other deck is Red Green Ponza.
Yeah, I'm gonna do some content on this deck in the upcoming day or so. I think this deck is actually a huge winner from the unban.
It's another Blood Moon deck. We already covered Blood Moon.
It's both a huge winner from the unban of Bloodbraid because it's a great deck to put Bloodbraid in, and it's good against Jace. I think like it has a lot of ways to deal direct damage. Like I think it has bolts in it. It has bolts in it. It has Bonfire of the Damned.
Well, you don't want to Bloodbraid into Bonfire.
No, but you might not be playing that card anymore, I guess, in that context. But it also has, like, Primal Command, which can put their Jace back. And, like, Inferno Titan. So it is Huntmaster, which, like, floods the board. And
Stone Rain also makes it hard to Jace on time. Anymore.
No, you're probably playing Bloodbraid Elf instead.
Yeah, I think Bloodbraid is better than Huntmaster.
Yep. Stone Rain plays Tracker, which is good against control decks.
I think Bloodbraiding into a Tracker
is so sweet. Yeah.
So sweet. It's like Bloodbraiding into a Planeswalker.
Yeah.
You could also just, Bloodbraid into Lily.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're probably playing Tireless Tracker in the deck that Bloodbraid.
I think that this deck is already underrated, this Ponza deck.
Okay.
And I think that Bloodbraid is a huge gain for it.
So for those that don't know what Ponza is.
Oh, you want me to explain it a little bit?
Yeah.
It's like red-green deck. It plays Planeswalkers. It's like kind of the modern equivalent of like almost like a Stacks deck, I guess, but not really. It plays like Blood Moon, Stone Rain. Sometimes it plays more discard spells too, like or more land destruction spells like Wonvuli Acid Moss or Molten Rain or Primal Command or Plow Under sometimes. All these random cards. But most of the time it just plays like 4 Stone Rain and 4 Blood Moon. And sometimes a couple Molten Rains. And then it plays like Inferno Titan, sometimes Stormbreath Dragon, Chandra Torch of Defiance, Tireless Tracker. Some versions have like the Madcap Experiment Platinum Imperion package. Yep. A Jersey local Mike Dirkso, who's been doing well with the deck, has been playing that combo in the deck. Mm-hmm. But I think that this deck is really sweet. It's like a mid-range deck with kind of like a prison-y like hate plan, I guess, that it can employ. And when it doesn't do that, it's fairly decent at being like a mid-range value deck because it plays like Planeswalkers and can play sweeper effects, or it did at least in the past. So I think it's a pretty good deck, and I think that this is one deck that just can like have a bunch of big things that are good against Jace, while also like have ways to like stop you from putting Jace into play. And then have Bloodbraid Elf, just to be like a good deck as far as card quality goes. So that's my take on that. I don't know. Do you like this deck, or do you think this deck is nonsense?
I think in the past this deck has been a little underpowered for my liking in Modern. Mm-hmm. I think that the deck definitely preys on Jace decks, so it's definitely a winner with this. I also think it is one of the best homes for Bloodbraid. So, I'm going to say that this is a good treasure deck.
This is a treasure deck. I think this deck is sweet.
This deck picked up a lot of steam.
I also think it's something that people like, not nearly to the extent that Lantern is, but it's a deck that people will never play no matter how good it is. I think the Red Green Ponza deck is a deck that's going to be constantly maligned. Like, even when this deck is actually good and like objectively well positioned within the context of the format, people will say that it's not.
So Jake, as a Tron player, you play a deck that's maligned. Do you think that the Blood Moon players should take equal offense anytime someone says that their deck is easy?
Oh, well, it's different kind of, like, argument, right?
Well, I mean, they're still just playing Blood Moon and hoping you don't play Magic.
Yeah, but they have, like, Inferno Titan in their deck. They're trying really hard. Like, you gotta give them something.
They're just good, honest Magic players, man. Like, if people are playing Blood Moon and Inferno Titan and Modern, they're just, like, solid, honest humans.
My favorite Ponza deck is the weird one that 5-0'd, like, once, that also played, like, Eldritch Evolution into Fury Soak Giant and would just, like, kill all your stuff. It was like the weirdest version of the Ponza deck, and I haven't seen it since. But I showed it to you after a show last season, and I was like, "Isn't this cool?" And you were like, "Yeah."
Man, Fury Stoke Giants, the truth. Were they like Torrent of Soulsing also? Because that would just be
maybe
bazonkers.
Yeah, maybe they were. They just had like a bunch of
hilarious
weird things.
Those cards. I don't know if those are good enough though. Because, like, for less mana than those, you could just cast Jace the Mind Sculptor, which
Courser Rubik's is kind of good against Jace.
Yeah, Courser's fine. Yeah, Courser's pretty good.
It's like, it can,
Courser's good with Jace.
help you play lands off the top of your deck, so, like,
Jace.
the land block.
You just, like, brainstorm back a land and play it off the top. Courser goes in this band
Courser's
deck.
good with Jace, too, yeah.
Yeah.
Our nonsense band deck. How is our nonsense band deck ever going to beat, like, Affinity? Stony Silence?
Tukataki.
What?
Stony Silence?
Yeah, like, you just play, like, sideboard cards.
You're just like, oh, Voice, Courser, or Jason. They're just like S-Champion attacking for 19. You're
It's
just
like
like,
Supreme
ah.
Verdict in our Voice of Resurgence deck.
No,
Probably don't.
No, that's not true. No, Affinity is never bad for these types of decks.
As long as you can
Pride
knock out
Mages.
the air.
We Pride Maging people?
Yeah, like, and like, you could Pride Mage people if you want to. Like, you could... Like, all you have to do is kill the plating, and they can't even race you.
You Pride Mage people, then, like, the Voice token kills a Jace. If it's somehow still in play.
We're talking about against Affinity.
Oh, against Affinity?
What?
Like, just everything just becomes, can we kill a Jace? It's just so terrifying. Yeah, I mean, it's okay against Affinity. Pride Mage is sweet against Affinity. Just a lot of the things that you're doing, Affinity doesn't really care about, though. Like, Voice, Tracker, Courser. Like, these cards aren't very good against Affinity at all. So, like, the rest of your deck has to be, like, pretty good against Affinity or you're going to lose to it.
Yeah.
But it's
Play
not...
a sweet Dramoka's Command.
Yeah, you can do that.
Ooh, Dramoka's Command is a card that impressed me a lot this weekend at the GP.
Yeah.
It prevents all damage, right?
It's
So, like,
gonna
they
get
try
burned.
to kill your Jace and you're just like, no.
That only prevents damage from an instant or sorcery, though.
Yeah.
Not a creature.
Oh, so it would be dealt to target creature you control?
No,
Or
no,
you?
no.
No, but it only prevents the damage from an instant or sorcery.
I know, so they're just like bolt your Jace,
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
instead I'm gonna kill your creature.
But their Ornithopter wearing a cranial
Yeah.
plate
Like,
will still
what?
hit your Jace.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Bolt.
But you
like,
just fight their guy.
bolt your
Yeah.
Jace instead. I'll save my Jace and fight your guy.
And fight.
Instead, I'll like save my Jace and make you sacrifice your detention sphere. And thank you for my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, like
Sweet sideboard card.
The
You know
Tension
where-
Sphere, I think, is a card that people will try to play now.
People already were in blue-white. So
No, I know, but like I think we'll see like...
I'm just gonna cut in for a second.
Yeah,
So we've talked about a lot of cards on the show tonight. What's the best place to get these cards, you may ask?
What's the Bearded Dragon game?
Bearded Dragon Games is the best place to get these cards.
Yeah, in Bernardsville, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on TCG Player, and we have our own website. So, I happen to know we have over a dozen Jace the Mind Sculptors in stock.
We're actually giving a Jace the Mind Sculptor away in the giveaway tonight.
I
Are
had
you
heard
serious?
that, but I
Yeah.
wasn't sure if it was true or not.
I hope I win.
It's true. Someone in the chat is going to get a Jace tonight.
I'm in the
Pretty
chat.
good.
We're not
sir.
eligible to get
I'm
a
in the
Jace.
chat.
I
Chat,
think
guys.
And the production assistants who are giggling about over there, they're not
what I
eligible for Jaces
heard
either.
was actually that they're getting a Jace that's signed by the cast members, so that if any of us are ever
No,
across
I
the
wouldn't
table,
do that to a
Ruin the
Jace.
value of your Jace.
we know.
But,
It's
what
not
other
signed.
Bloodbraid decks do we got? Because we've been...
So the other Blood Red decks that we have are just
Maybe
like
like alternate,
Control
so maybe like Doe
and
that
Blue Eye
displays
Control.
fire.
So the last real Blood Braid deck, I'm going to ignore Kevin's fifth suggestion of Burn. So our last real Blood Braid deck
Bloodbraiding into, like...
is
Boros
Naya
stuff?
Company.
I don't know. What?
Our
No.
last
No, there's-
real Blood Braid deck is
There's,
Naya Company.
there's another one that I put down there that Brad won't let me talk about.
Yeah, that
which
one
is-
doesn't count. Sahili Rai is not a Blood Braid Elf card.
Yeah, that deck. This is a Healy Rye deck. Just played like Bloodbraid Elf.
Oh, hey,
Sweet.
You
Might
just
as
play
well play Blood
Jace
Braid
instead of Sahili Rai.
You're playing all these like threes that like are super important to resolve,
Yeah, so you can just
right?
Bloodbraid
Like,
Elf.
yeah,
into
because you're already playing like Eldritch Evolution and
Yeah.
Saheeli, and then
Like you don't want
like
to
Bloodbraid
copy
just, like-
Bloodbraid Elf with Saheeli. Like that doesn't work the right way. But you can copy one of the other like value things with Saheeli.
yeah, absolutely.
Sweet.
It's just like a powerful card.
Also, it lets you like know what you're Bloodbraiding into. You can like scry.
You can even like just sideboard it against fair decks, and then like it's just insane. It's like
Yeah, like
Snapcaster.
board
It's
out
a
the
great
combo and
Snapcaster.
you board in 4 Bloodbraid Elves.
Yeah.
And like,
Alright.
yeah, I don't know.
But so, what about Naya Company?
I
We
think
already
that
talked
Naya
about-
Company is like a worse version of the Saheeli deck and a worse version of the Ponza deck. But Naya Company is sweet. I think that
You like Coco, and then you just put in a Magus of the Moon, and they like haven't cracked
Yeah.
the fetch lands, and they lose the game.
you're like Coco and they don't respond by cracking their fetch line.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh no!
Yeah, those are mountains.
And then they use their Flooded Trend to bolt your maggots on tap and play Jason, you're dead.
Or they Dramoka's Command your Magus.
Yeah. But I think that the Naya Company deck is going to get better because Bloodbraid Elf helps a deck like that. The weakness of a deck like that has been like 2 things. It's been like unfair decks and like just Supreme Verdict, Lightning Bolt, Snapcaster, Mage, Path to Exile. Because it's just so much better at Like I think that the Counters Company deck is dreadfully bad against Jeskai or blue-red control decks. Mm-hmm. And I think that the Naya Company deck is better, but way worse against anything unfair. Or anything
I still don't think it's good against the Bolt Snapcaster decks.
Oh, the Naya Company deck?
Yeah.
It's better because it plays Smiters and stuff and huge creatures. Yeah. But it's still not good.
Get path,
it's just so dead to Supreme Verdict. It's
insane. Whenever people are snapping removal spells, decks like that just don't feel good.
Every time I play against someone playing that deck with a blue-red deck or a Jeskai deck, they just play Voice on turn 2, and they take a really deep breath and hope that it resolves, and just untap and anger it, and they're just oh. Just they can never win or whatever. And it's just they're Voice. And I'm Spell Snare, and they're alright, go! Just so defeated, yeah.
When that Voice resolves, their percentages go massively up, though, unless they have an...
They do, because they change the... Oh, yeah. If we get to 70 viewers, there's something else in addition to a Jace. I have never read a teleprompter before in my life, and I apologize for looking so awkward.
It may or may not.
And you also need to comment.
You need to comment into the Twitch chat to enter, and I have a feeling that the thing that comes with this Jace may or may not be
a Bloodbraid,
one of Jace's friends. Or Nemesis. It's difficult to tell, but it may be another 4-mana card.
It might be half of the Bloodbraid elf that I ripped up on the unboxing
video
from last week. I almost put a Jace in the fireplace. It was in the fireplace. I almost set it on fire last Thursday.
Have you ever lit an $100 bill on fire? Because that's worth less than Jace the Mind Sculptor.
So, I've never lit a $100 bill on fire that started as a $50 bill and then turned into a $100 bill while it was burning.
It's a $150 bill now. But yeah.
While it was burning.
Yeah, just the Phoenix.
I didn't want to burn this much.
The face morphs. And it's just Ben Franklin by the end, and he's what have you done? And then he disintegrates.
But, so, just as a closing argument to Bloodbraid, because I know we weren't as warm on Bloodbraid as I think Bloodbraid deserves us to have been. I think that one of the things that's really important to say about Bloodbraid Elf is that everything that you and I and everybody else loves about Snapcaster Mage, just imagine Bloodbraid Elf as a red-green Snapcaster Mage that doesn't have the Ambush Viper mode.
Yeah.
You can't you can't put it down and then protect it and play that tempo game with it. But besides that, it's like casting a Snapcaster Mage and flashing Sling back, only instead of getting a 2/1, you get a 3/2 haste.
It's
that's basically what it is.
Staggered back towards being way more fair and way less good as Snapcaster Mage is always gonna be more of your best card against a deck. Whereas Bloodbraid will be the way you mop up. When Jund plays against combo decks, it's discard spell, discard spell, discard spell. And then when you Bloodbraid after you've wrecked their hand, you don't want to hit a discard spell. You want to hit
Lily.
A Goy for a Lily or whatever, some Fulminator maybe, some random creature.
Yeah.
And so it's a little different in that it's going to
I think it's worse than Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying, Snapcaster Mage, enforces a strategy
very similar. They're
where you're, doing more of the same thing that you've been doing successfully, whereas Bloodbraid, will do, you better do the good things first, because now Bloodbraid is going to do something randomly good afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, but it is similar in that, it pushes your advantage, and there's, a substantial, thing tacked onto your free spell or whatever, so...
Yeah, and sometimes you get a Liliana the Veil, and when you do that, it's a lot better.
It's really nuts.
Yeah. Alright, so that's gonna take our ban list discussion to a close, but now we're gonna have a little bit of a philosophical discussion on ban lists.
Yeah, we probably went too long and have to skip some stuff.
Well, we covered the third topic of what's up with Jace, kind of ancillary, when we talked about Jace.
I think we kind of just riffed, but that's okay.
Our last topic is... multifaceted. So is it possible to have the perfect sized ban list in Modern? And then, if not, would you rather have the one that's slightly too large, slightly too small, or way too large / way too small?
Okay, so I think that it's pretty tough to get the exact perfect ban list. Is the power of some things that are on or off the ban list fluctuates depending on the power of cards in the format. So, I think there's weekends where Jace would not have done well in the event. Just randomly inserted into X decks or whatever.
Yeah,
I think that can occur. Yeah. I think there's weekends where, are super heavy on Storm and Affinity or whatever, where Bloodbraids wouldn't have done much. Or whatever, you know? But I also think that, like, overall, like, you want to keep the ban list as small as possible, right? Like, there's no reason for unnecessary cards to be on it. You agree with that, right?
Yeah, I think that I think it's good to have the ban list be as small as it can be for the format to remain healthy.
Yeah.
Because I like the idea of people being able to play with their cards.
Yeah, not as small as possible, but like as small as functional.
But I don't want busted cards.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to have to play against Splinter Twin or Birthing Pod. Splinter Twin I might not even mind having to play against, but I don't want to play against Birthing Pod.
Splinter Twin just warps the way that people build their decks and think about the format, and
yeah, I guess it also validates all the other decks that are like kind of almost as good as Splinter Twin decks.
We can't have the discussion of whether like Madcap, Breach, or Kiki deck is the best deck because the Jace deck just has 4 Splinter Twins in it and you never have to do anything else.
Yeah,
that's true.
It just the story writes itself. Like it's just so cut and dry. Yeah. It's just so much more efficient than anything else. And, like, you can't play any of these stupid decks. And you probably can't even play Jace if Splinter Twin is legal. Like, you have to play Jace in Splinter Twin. Because, like, if you tap out for Jace and just die, like...
That's true.
What's the point of it even being legal if you die every time you play it?
Splinter Twin is too good. Yeah. I think there's a lot of stuff on there that needs to be on there.
But I think when you have, like, I think Splinter Twin is a good force in no ban list Modern. Like, I think it's a really good deck, and I think I'm happy that it exists in that capacity. Because, like, the other stuff that people are doing is, like, too degenerate, and Splinter Twin will, like, police the degeneracy in, like, a cool, understandable, like, way that everyone can, like, reconcile with. Like, no one's going to get mad about Splinter Twin winning no ban list, but if the top 8 of that tournament is, like, 7 Hypergenesis decks, someone's just going to be really, really mad. You know?
Yeah.
So, like, I think that, to that end, I think that you like...
Or Deathrite Shaman. That's the best example of a card that needs to be
I don't want that card illegal!
It's the card that needs to be banned more than anything else.
Stupid. It's everywhere and so good.
And it makes so many other cards unplayable. Like so many things that you want to be doing that are cool, you just can't do if Deathrite Shaman existed. So it's good that's banned. Like there's so many things that need to be banned.
But there's
I'm
cards
glad the ban list is large.
That have came off. That like by the time they came off, it was painfully obvious that they like could have been off way earlier and weren't off for some reason. And like the ones I can think of are like the top 4 that I can think of is like Nacatl, Bitter Blossom, Sword of the Meek, or whichever half of it was, I guess, Sword of the Meek was the banned one, right? Foundry was the one that no one played anyway because it didn't do anything without Sword of the Meek.
Yep.
Yeah, so those 3, and then, like, Bloodbraid Elf are, like, the ones that come
You could also argue Valakut.
Ancestral Vision. Oh, Valakut was banned at one point, too, that's right.
Yeah.
Valakut should never be banned. That card is super fair.
That card's sweet, too.
Yeah, that deck is just, like... Yeah, but that deck has to do, like, so many weird things to the function. You can't just throw Valakut in the deck.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it just creates a deck that's, like, good at some things, but, like, not perfect in any way. And, like, then it creates, like, these weird blue decks, and those blue decks are, like, varying degrees of mediocre, but just so cool.
Yeah, really fun to play, too.
Rug Scapeshift is, like, one of my favorite decks.
Is it charming?
Yeah. Bring
All
to light. Bring to light for Dragonlord Ojitai out of my Scapeshift deck. Woo!
It's fun.
Gas pedal.
You play like a Manamo in your Scapeshift deck?
There's also the Domain Impulse, so you just get to play Impulse.
Yeah, Worldly Council.
Deck.
Worldly Council.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that it's better off if the ban list is way too small than like a little too small, right?
I see. Okay, like I think it's hard to get the ban list perfect. I'd rather it be a little big than anything else. I don't want it to be like super big. I think it stinks when people can't play with like their favorite cards or whatever.
But isn't a little too big conducive to worse gameplay than way too big? Way too big is everyone is hampered. Way too big is essentially like pushing Modern towards Standard, right? Like in a theoretical way. Whereas a little bit too big is pushing Modern towards 2 or 3 polarizingly powerful archetypes. Which is, like, conducive to a worse experience than just watching someone play Standard.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, of those 4 things, other than perfect, I think that, like, way too big might be better than a little bit too big. And way too big is definitely better than way too small. A little bit too small...
Well, a little bit too small sometimes just sucks the worst, right?
Well,
because sometimes it just means that there's like
when the card that should be on that's not is Jace, it might suck the worst, right? It won't suck the worst for us, but like if it's one card too small and the card that's supposed to be on the list is Jace, well,
the card is so good.
If the card that's supposed to be on the list is like
Jace the Mind Sculptor,
I don't know, like what are, like Stoneforge Mystics, is the format ruined? Probably not. Maybe.
I don't think Jace ruins it either. I don't think it's a ruined format because of Jace. I think the format was... I don't know.
These young kids who have never played with the Jace before are about to be in for like the most ridiculous.
All the people, every single person who's been saying on the internet that like, oh, it's not that you guys don't get it. Like, yo, Jace was good in standard, obviously, but you know, modern is much different. No, like
they've never played.
Do you remember what the standard format where Jace was just completely busted was?
Jace's in World Lake Manlands because that was the only way you could deal with it.
Yeah, it was. The format just became all like it. The card is so unbelievably unfair. It's so good. It's so good.
I saw a post on Facebook, and it was like Magic players born after the year 2000. Oh, Jace is not that big of a deal, Tron, whatever. Magic players born before 2000. Chittering teeth.
Yeah.
It's just like terrifying. I'm just like, yep, that's accurate.
Yeah.
Apparently, we only need 20 more viewers.
We already have both winners. We're good.
Oh, we win? It's over?
Yeah.
They still need to win something special.
No, they already did. We're done.
Okay, cool.
Don't ever make me read a teleprompter again. It's
my
way above
production
my pay grade.
staff created a teleprompter that we didn't necessarily need. Okay. But we do have our giveaway winners. So,
who won a Jace?
For the Jace the Mind Sculptor, we have Gliscor's Bounty. And then, for 2 packs of Eternal Masters, which may or may not also contain Jace or foil Jace.
Or Bloodbraid Elf.
Or Bloodbraid, or foil Bloodbraid.
Or a boat.
Could even be a treasure cruise. Is Dominic Monfrey, who I believe was on the Facebook side of the giveaway, since it's not a username.
It could be Dominic _Monfrey.
No, it is not. There's a space. So, congratulations to both of you. And that will conclude our giveaway. So, unless we have any interesting closing stories.
Yeah, I think
Jace the Mind Sculptor!
Better than all.
It's so good.
Oh, I have a funny story.
Sure.
Someone shared that video, and I watched it. It was
the song?
The song, yeah. Patrick Chapin and
The Gathering.
Sprue.
Pat and Sprue, yeah.
I watched it. So I watched it to its conclusion, and I enjoyed the song a lot. It's a great song. It's an awesome video. And then autoplay was on YouTube, so the next video loads. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but the next video that loads after that video on autoplay is LSD breaking Moto with like the triple oblivion ring thing, where he crashes the game and then the game restarts and then crashes again, and then it restarts and crashes again, and it just keeps happening over and over and over. And he's like chatting with his opponent. He's like, "Look what I did to the game for value." It's just like, it's so funny.
I thought you were gonna tell me it was the. Never mind. I'll say that later.
No, it's the video where LSD
breaks Moto. I thought it was going to be something totally different related to Jace, but that's fine.
No, it's funny. That video was really funny.
From the British Dragon Games Game Center here in Burnsville, New Jersey, for Jake Van Lunen, Gerard, who couldn't make it, Kevin Jones, and myself, Brad Bonin. That's our show for this week. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same